Hey, football fans, welcome to another edition of the J&J Sports Express for Week 8 of the 2022 NFL season. I'm your co-host, Jeff Cadillac, and as always, my co-host, JB Ellis. How are you tonight, JB?
Doing good. This special time's got me all messed up. I had my 7 o'clock time, but Jeff Cadillac, man of the people, had to take care of something. So we're here. We're live at 7:35 to give you the best 5 games and what you need to do. And before we go any further, if you're not following Jeff Cadillac's Pick of the Week on Twitter, what's your Twitter?
Jeff Cadillac 1, at Jeff Cadillac 1. My best bet of the week on Twitter is 5-2 this last week. New England really, had a dud on Monday night. I was waiting for Bailey Zappi to come out, but Chicago really gave it to him. They ran the ball on him. And
well, you got greedy. You went with New England. But overall, great picks. 5-2, you'd be winning a lot of money. If you're not following that, I don't know what you're doing. All right, let's get started. You ready, Jeff?
All right. We're looking at some 5 exciting games again this week. This is a big one. We're looking at Chicago at Dallas. Dallas is the favorite at 10.5. What do you like there, JB? Tell me.
So, did Chicago finally figure out what they need to do to be in games by running the ball, keeping the ball in their hands, not getting crazy with the offensive scheme? Dallas, on the other hand, has a phenomenal defense. Can't do much against them. This is a toss-up. After Chicago coming off a hugely impressive win that nobody expected. I know we both had New England last week. I would say I got to go with Dallas this week, but, it's hard to say that after seeing Chicago come out like that. But Dak is back. He's had a week in. This is another practice game for him because I don't see it being close. I'm thinking 2 touchdowns, Dallas all the way. But we'll definitely see what happens. What about you?
I got to tell you something. I like Chicago in this game. Chicago, the last couple of weeks, they lost on Thursday night against Washington. They almost won that game. They had a lot of time to figure out what to do against New England. They ran the ball very successfully. I said, I should have been the coach of New England because I said you got to stop Chicago's run. They're number 1 in rush offense in the NFL. They showed it on Monday night. New England, all they had to do was stop the run and put it on Justin Fields' shoulders. They didn't do it. They got slammed. They have nobody to blame but themselves. Bill Belichick afterwards, I was waiting for him to do one of those post-game conference. We didn't run well. We didn't hit well. We didn't throw well. We didn't defend well. He's done one of those, believe me, he was pissed. The whole team played like, crapola. They came out like a dud. The only 5 minutes that were exciting was Bailey Zappi coming in and running those 2 touchdown drives. Other than that, New England didn't show up. They were up 14-10, and they just let Chicago just run all over them. Dallas last week, let me tell you something. If it wasn't for Detroit's incompetence by the goal line and 4 turnovers on straight 4 possessions, Dallas maybe loses that game. They were up only 10-6, and Detroit turns the ball over 5 times in that game for a total of 21 points going Dallas's way. I'm not impressed with Dallas really that much. Even though I liked Dallas last week, I thought they on the bounce back after Philadelphia, they were going to blow out Detroit because Detroit doesn't have a defense. But Detroit basically gave the game to Dallas. You can't have 5 turnovers and expect a team to win. That's ridiculous, okay? Dak Prescott, I'm not crazy about the guy. He's paid an unbelievable amount of money, and I say unbelievable because he's not worth the money they're paying him. And the funny thing is, there was an NFL player that spoke to a friend of mine and said that as long as Jerry Jones is the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, they'll never win in the Super Bowl. And that's about what it is because he's the only one who thinks he's going to win the Super Bowl, but he makes the worst decisions for football. He's not a football guy, whatever you want to think. Dallas laying 10.5. Chicago can actually play this game tough. They do the same kind of thing that they did against New England. They got like I said before, they got the number 1 rush offense. Dallas has the 20th rush defense in the NFL. I see Dallas maybe winning this game by 3 or 4 points. I like Chicago with the points in this game.
I'm going to disagree with you wholeheartedly. This is a layup for Dak. They're giving him a couple of layups to start. Dak is going to look good. They're going to run the ball. Zeke
It wasn't JB. Last week wasn't a layup. 5 turnovers is not a layup. That Detroit was in that game. They fumbled on the end on the goal line. They threw a couple of interceptions. It wasn't a layup.
That's why they're the Detroit Lions.
Right.
That's
but you know what? That's not
because they do those things.
Right, but that's not like, ordinary. 5 turnovers is not an ordinary thing. But listen, we can agree to disagree. You like Dallas in this game. I like Chicago for different reasons. If they stay the course like they did and they showed what they did on Monday night, they got a chance to even take an upset in Dallas. But right now I like Chicago with the points. So
let's go to game number 2.
All right. Our next game, New England. This is a game that oh my God, Jet fans, they're always screaming and hollering. It's New England -2 at the New York Jets. Who do you like in this game?
So I'm going to take the Jets with the points. They're at home. They are on fire. This is a new Jets team. Robert Saleh, great coach. I like him a lot. I just don't think New England's offense with Mac Jones, they're going to, have the secret sauce to beat the Jets secondary. So I gotta go with the Jets here. It hurts my heart every time I say that, but if I'm betting, I'm going Jets, Jets by a touchdown, not even by 2. Unless, of course, they put it down to Bailey Zappi. If they can change a quarterback.
If you're betting money on this, just write the check out to JEFFCADILLAC because I'm going New England on this one, baby. You got to understand, New England on a bounce back after what happened on Monday night against Chicago. Belichick is going to be screaming and hollering, and they're going to make some changes. They always do. They're a team that never just goes away as long as Belichick is there. You got Matt Patricia. He's running things also. He's back. I'm telling you right now, they're going to bounce back. And I want to tell you a stat that you should definitely be aware of. In the last 12 games between New England and the Jets, New England has won 12 of those games. They're 12-0 straight up and 8-4 against the spread in the last 12 games, New England at the Jets. Yes, the Jets have been playing well. And you forgot to mention that Breece Hall, the running back, is out for the season, and they just acquired James Robinson from the Jaguars. But I can tell you this right now. New England is going to have a game plan. Belichick loves taking it to the Jets. His record against the Jets is astronomical. It's off the charts. I look for a bounce-back win here against New England on Sunday at JETS, Jets.
No unlucky 13s for the Jets this year. The most unlucky franchise east of Detroit. They will handle business. Doesn't matter. They got another good young running back. They also got James Robinson coming in. They got the sauce in the secondary. Not happening. This is not your Jets, Jeff. This is the new New York Jets.
Oh, okay.
They're a new team. They're a new team, but you got to believe.
Nah, you know what? We're here to pick the games, not believe and be a fan. There's a difference there. I'm looking at this team saying, hey, you got to show me the money. Prove it to me. They are playing well. You see, last week, what people don't realize is they beat a Denver team, has a great defense, not a great offense. Denver has kept teams in every game because of their defense, and they hang around because of their defense. So down a touchdown, down 3 points, that's Denver's mojo this whole season. The Jets, I like what they did last week. They played well. But remember, Denver's offense is not that great. New England will change a few things. They're coming in with Mac Jones. That's what we hear so far. You never know. Things could change between now and Sunday. I did like Bailey Zappi. I still think he has a future. He came in. He wanted to compete. We'll see what happens. But I like New England in this game.
I think if I'm New England, I'm playing Zappi. I don't get why you're staying with Mac Jones, but that's a talk definitely you can find on many of our shows 7 nights a week on Sideline Sports. I'm sure Jeff has an opinion on that as well.
Yeah, I do. But let's go to a 4 o'clock game. San Francisco at the Rams. San Francisco's laying 2 at the Rams. JB, I'll let you what do you think?
So San Francisco beat them up in Santa Clara prior to the earthquake this week, a couple of weeks back. Then, they made a huge move that nobody expected, and they went all in on Christian McCaffrey, giving up a bunch of draft picks, which makes their pedestrian offense a lot different because now you have a running back that can run and catch. You put him with Deebo Samuels out there as well. This offense with Kittle, Samuels, and McCaffrey, they can put up some points now. And Jimmy G knows how to manage an offense. So they've gotten better since the last time they beat the Rams. Count it as a sweep here. 2 points, not worried.
Well, I definitely have to agree with you there. San Francisco, and I'll break it down for you. San Francisco got Christian McCaffrey for a steal. They didn't give up a number one. They gave up a 2, 3, 4, 5, which Carolina, I don't know why they had a fire sale like that. Should have waited for some first-round draft choices. He's definitely worth 3. You got to understand, last week against KC, though, they got slammed, okay? Christian McCaffrey got a limited playbook for last week. I like Kansas City. A lot of people say, oh, Christian McCaffrey's going to come in. He just got there Friday. And he really didn't do much in the game against Kansas City because they couldn't. After the 10-0 lead, they were playing catch-up the whole game. San Francisco, you see, Jimmy G's the kind of quarterback, he needs a good running back behind him. He needs somebody to take the pressure off of him. He needs somebody that's going to be the guy that he can go to almost like a safety net. That's what Jimmy G is all about. If he has no running back behind him and he has to throw 45 times a game or 40 times a game, he's going to get into serious trouble. He's not going to be able to do his job, and they're going to lose. You look at the game against Atlanta. They had no running game a few weeks ago. They lost. Against the Rams, they own the Rams. The Rams are terrible this year. They're a average team at best. They have no running game. Their running game is 31 in the NFL. They aren't going nowhere. Matthew Stafford, his arm is going to fall off from throwing the ball all over the place. Sean McVay, he's not a great coach. He's not a great coach. He runs up and down the sidelines. He's nice. He's pretty to look at, but he really doesn't know what he's doing. He is a very conservative guy. I shouldn't say he doesn't know what he's doing. He's doing fine. But as a game plan, he's a very conservative guy. I mean, the Rams have had 2 punts already blocked this year, and they're not beating teams that they need to beat. They've been embarrassed by Buffalo. They barely, if you look at the Carolina game, Carolina almost came back if it wasn't for a deflected interception, which would have cut the score to 7 points. The Rams are in trouble. They need to regroup. They got an offensive line that's terrible. They don't have any running game, and the defense is suspect at times as well. I'll tell you something. I agree with you in this game. I think San Francisco takes the sweep of the series this season, and they take it to the Rams in L.A. And believe me, the 49ers, they're not afraid of playing in L.A. because in the last 15 games at the Rams, San Francisco is 11-4 straight up and 9-6 against the spread. So they own the Rams.
Yeah, get the brooms out. Santa Clara, San Francisco, Santa Monica, Santa whatever. Not the day for the Rams.
Yeah, sayonara.
Next.
Okay. All right, we're looking. Sunday night. Sunday night is interesting. It's Green Bay at Buffalo. Buffalo's laying 10.5 at home. All right, who do you like there, JB?
So before we do that, when was the last time Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers was a double-digit dog? I know you're the stat guy. You're the guy that brings in heavy
honestly,
numbers.
it's been a while. I'd have to really look it up. I can't tell you offhand. But
do you remember a time? Because I think it may never be.
It might have been the year when they went 6-9-1, but that's about it. That was like at least 5 or 6 years ago.
Been a long time. I want to know how his neck feels looking up at Minnesota winning that division.
Well, Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers should stop talking. I'll start it off. Last week, Green Bay against Washington, I loved Washington in that game because no matter what Washington's record was and what Green Bay's record was in the past, Washington always gave Green Bay problems. And Washington at home with Taylor Heineke, I knew he was going to come out and be like gangbusters. He threw a pick six early, and Green Bay was actually up in that game 14-3. But I said, you know what? He's going to settle down. And sure enough, they did. They put pressure on Rodgers. See, a few things going on for Green Bay that is not like in years past. Number one, the offensive line is terrible. There's no protection for Rodgers. He cannot get situated in the pocket. He's always being pressured. Number two, he's playing with a bunch of nobodies at wide receiver. I mean, they might as well be Cadillac and JB out there because nobody even knows who they are. Nobody knows where they've come from. And they're not on the same page with Rodgers. Third, the running game is terrible. The running game cannot get started. And what people don't understand, what the coaches don't understand, is that if there's no running game, you can forget about winning. You need a balanced attack on offense. The running game must be it doesn't have to be outstanding. It just has to be enough so that the defense knows that you can go to it at certain times and that the play action pass actually fools somebody in the secondary. Without a consistent running game like the Rams with their 31st rushing offense, you can forget it. All you have to do is just tee off on the quarterback, and eventually you're going to get turnovers. In this game, I love Buffalo, and I'll tell you why. Sunday night, Buffalo is going to be rocking, okay? This is on prime time. This is national attention. Buffalo, with their offense, they have the number one total offense. The whole stadium is going to be rocking. They're going to be going nuts. Every play, Josh Allen is going to be pumped for this. I mean, they're coming off a bye, but before the bye, they beat Kansas City in Kansas City. I mean, Buffalo is the team. Just think for a minute. I discussed this with somebody else. If Christian McCaffrey had gone to Buffalo, I mean, just hand them the trophy now, because him on that team, forget it. It would be like over. But I love Buffalo in this game. The defense is going to be pumped up. Josh Allen's going to be ready. I think it's going to be a blowout. I'm sorry to say, Rodgers and company, this year is just not their year. Nothing's working. What do you think, JB?
So, I mean, if this was a game of which quarterback talks more, Aaron Rodgers wins by 50 points. But since this is a game of football, the Bills are going to walk all over them. I mean, Diggs is probably going to have a great game. Allen, he's looking to get to that next level. He saw Joe Burrow make the Super Bowl last year. He saw Mahomes do it the year before. He's had trouble getting past Mahomes. They did it this year in the regular season. They are hungry. They want to be that team. And this is another stepping stone. Even if Green Bay doesn't have the 6-1, 7-0 record, it's still the Green Bay Packers. This is a stepping stone game. It means something. It's in prime time. Bills Mafia is going to go crazy. They're going to have a lot of fun up in Buffalo as they keep scoring. And their defense is no joke either. The Packers are not going to have an easy time moving the ball on the Bills defense. Josh Allen's going to have his way with the offense. If I'm Green Bay this week, I am trying to figure out how to use Aaron Jones and Dillon and how to get a running game going. Because the way that Green Bay can turn around their season is to start running the ball and controlling the clock.
It's going to be very tough. It'll be very tough because Green Bay has the number one rushing defense in the NFL. So this one's going to have to be all on Rodgers. He's going to have to be Houdini and pull a rabbit out of the hat, because I'm telling you right now, Buffalo wants home field advantage in the playoffs. They want that number one seed. They get that number one seed, Kansas City and everybody else in the AFC has to come to them, and they're going to be ready. And this is going to be Buffalo, and this is a must-win game. Buffalo has to show that they're for real. All right, they beat Kansas City nicely. Now you got to beat Green Bay. You got to just keep beating teams. You got to take the life out of them, and that's the way you win in the NFL. You cannot give the teams hope. And in this game here, hey, it's Buffalo. If Sunday night something happens that doesn't happen, I'd be very shocked. I really think Buffalo is the team right here on Sunday night at home. If this baby was in Green Bay, it could possibly go differently, because Rodgers always, he's been known to play very well at home. But at Buffalo on Sunday night, place is going to be rocking. It's going to get into him. You're going to see he can't hear anything. There's going to be a lot of miscommunication on the Green Bay side. I love Buffalo in this game. It's a big one.
So we both got Buffalo without a question. I don't see anything stopping this. I'm going to say that before the season, this was a great choice for a primetime game. So I'm not going to criticize the NFL right now because Buffalo Green Bay, because I went off on them for the last couple of weeks with the primetime choices. This, I think, was actually scheduled well. Just Green Bay hasn't lived up to the hype that they had before the season. So pass for the NFL on this one. I'll be tuning in, and I'm going to watch Buffalo just score and score and score. And, hopefully this week they're working on figuring out how to get Dillon, 75 yards rushing, and Jones 125, combined yards rushing and catching, because they got to control the clock to have any chance of this game and keep it under 10.
Yeah, I don't see it happening now. I don't see it.
And that doesn't even give them a win. That just gives them to be in the game because they have no chance of winning.
I don't think so. Then we go
All right, so we got the last game coming up here now.
Yeah, Monday Night Football. You got Cincinnati at Cleveland. Cincinnati is laying 3. What do you think there, JB?
It's the Battle of Ohio. It doesn't get any bigger than this. They're playing for the 2 O's with the high in the middle. I don't see, how there's any bigger game on the the NFL schedule. You got the Cincinnati Bengals, who just came off losing a Super Bowl, with cool Joe Burrow with a cigar in the locker room, against the Cleveland Browns, Jacoby Brissett, and Nick Chubb, the working man's team, against the flash of Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. The Bengals are going to make them look stupid. It's going to be silly. It's going to be a fun game to watch. Jamar Chase is going to go run on them, yards after the catch. Nick Chubb is going to ground and pound Myles Garrett. It's just not going to be pretty. I'm excited for this game. This may be the game I'm most excited about on Monday night this year.
So you're telling me you like the Bengals?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure for the audience that you like the Bengals. I agree with you for different reasons. First of all, Cleveland, Jacoby Brissett is a terrible quarterback. In 4 of the 5 losses that they've had this season, the one game against New England, they got blown out. That was over at halftime almost, and in the third quarter. But the other 4 games that they were in, they lost by a few points on each one. Jacoby Brissett either had an interception or a fumble towards the end of the game that basically lost the game for the Cleveland Browns. The man is a one-man wrecking crew. He should be wearing, when he comes out of the tunnel, he should be wearing the Cincinnati Bengals uniform, because he shouldn't be wearing the Cleveland Browns uniform. The man does not know how to play football. I don't know why he's quarterback. They should definitely, that's why he's a backup. Okay? He's a terrible quarterback. He has no presence. I watch the guy play. You got to, as a quarterback, you have to have a timer in your head saying, okay, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. The guy has no pocket presence. He's terrible. And he's the reason why Cleveland could have won all 4 of those games. They should only have 1 loss. Those were all winnable games. Last week against Baltimore, that was a winnable game. Against Lamar Jackson, I liked Cleveland last week getting 6.5. Okay? I picked Cleveland. I went 9-5 last week, folks. You can check my record out on my website at jeffcadillac.com. I liked Cleveland last week because it's an inter-division game. They always play inter-division tight. If it's a lot of points, you take Cleveland with the points. He had a fumble again when they were driving, which pushed them back. And then they had to kick that 60-yard field goal. And it was like a mess at the end. They actually had a chance to win the game, but he does not have a presence. Lamar Jackson or somebody fumbled on Baltimore. They got the ball. They were given a golden opportunity. Anybody could figure out short passes, screen plays, get the ball down the road. No, he's got to go for it all. He's got to sit in the pocket for 10 seconds. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's terrible. Cincinnati, by the way, in the Joe Burrow era, the last 14 games that they've been a road favorite, they're 10-4 against the spread. You know they're going to win this game. That's 667 right there, percentage. And Cleveland, their rush defense, they're terrible. They can't stop anybody. Cincinnati will actually have a running game for this game because Joe Burrow got tired of throwing the ball against Atlanta last week. So if this week he doesn't throw for 500 yards, don't be surprised. But the Bengals should have a rushing game this week, which they've been lacking because Cleveland's rushing defense is terrible. You can run all day on them. They're terrible. They might be able. Cleveland is the type of team that'll rush for 200 yards and give up 225 yards on the ground. Plus, Jacoby Brissett will throw in a couple of turnovers for good measure, and they'll lose by 3 points or 5 points. But in this game, Cincinnati's going to take them to the mat. Joe Burrow's going to have his way because he's Joe Cool, man. He knows what he's doing. He's got good pocket presence. He's got good football IQ. He knows what he's doing out there. He's cool. He's confident. He's not cocky. He's not conceited. He just knows his ability, and he tries to use it as best he can. And that's what he's going to do on Monday night.
That's a great analysis. I love Cincinnati in this game. They're flashy. They're fun. They're everything you want in football, But Cleveland, on the other hand, problems. Their starting quarterback suspended, so they got Brissett. Not really that good. And
when Deshaun Watson comes in, he's going to be rusty too. So add a few more losses to Cleveland. One of the things I want to tell our viewers is that last week I loved Carolina against Tampa. I even was on another show and I mentioned the fact that don't be surprised if you see an upset because Tampa Bay is not the same team you've seen. And Carolina, after their loss, and hey, look, P.J. Walker, give the guy a shot. They did what they had to do. They beat Tampa Bay, big dog at home. They were 11 to 13-point dog at home. And let me tell you something, folks. The players, the coaches, everybody knows what the spread is. They know if they're a big dog or a big favorite and they got to produce and this and that, and it's pride. Carolina came out. Nobody gave them a chance last week, but I did. I said Carolina was going to take that game, and sure enough, they did. And let me tell you something. Sometimes when a change of coach, even it looks like I know they got rid of Christian McCaffrey, but sometimes it's addition by subtraction because he takes up a spot on the roster, somebody else comes in. They do the job. They come in. Everybody's looking to do a job in the NFL and get paid. And if they're able to get that opportunity, they try to make the most of it. Some guys, they can't do it. They don't have that presence. They don't have the ability. But you never know. Carolina, we'll see what happens the rest of the season. But don't count them out. I mean, they're not going to the playoffs, but they can win some games here and there against, some top competition.
So where can people find you, Jeff?
Okay. Let me get my list. All right. As I told everybody before, you can check all my games with statistics, analysis, and everything at jeffcadillac.com. I'm also writing articles every week for sportskita.com. Check out the betting section on there. I got some games over there with stats and everything. You can check it all for free. I'm at Twitter, my best bet of the week. On Twitter on Fridays at jeffcadillac1. Also on Friday nights on the on the Better Sports Network. If you have the app, if you don't have the app, it's free. I'm on the Rick Kamler Show. I'll be on every Friday at 7:20 discussing games. We have a few laughs. It's good. You like it. And that's where I am. Hopefully you tune in. You too, JB.
So JB_ the program, Sideline Sports, 7 nights a week. I'll be on the South Florida Tribune Sports Exchange in about an hour. Make sure you're watching that. The Pundits should be coming on any minute. There's so much going on, I can't even keep my head wrapped around it. But just make sure you remember Bengals, Buffalo, San Fran, the Jets, and Dallas. Take care of that, and I'll cash them in.
See you next week.
All right, guys. Have a good one. We are out of here.